Hey everyone, today we're covering another Patreon request, and this one comes from Megan Wessels. With their ongoing patronage, she was able to get a flick of her choice covered right here on the show, and future seasons as well. I'd not like to thank her, but also for the pick she had for today. It's a movie that stuck with me since I was a kid, and I'm certain a lot of others as well. It holds a really special place in my heart, and hopefully among many others too. It needs no introduction, it needs no depiction, it's just one of those movies where you know it, you've seen it, and you just know exactly the impact it's held. It's also one of her personal favorites as well, and I feel greatly honored to cover it here. So for that, I'd like to say thank you. If you want to get a flick of your choice covered right here on the show, go over to my Patreon page, make a donation, and I'll see if I can fit it somewhere within this year or next, depending on how things hold up. Now, with that said, you probably already know exactly what I'm covering by the title. It says a lot when you love a movie so much, you just gotta own many different copies of it. And yes, that includes the Laserdisc version. The box was too big, so I hope the back of the packaging is sufficient. Do I even need to introduce this one? Aliens come to Earth, one of them gets accidentally left behind, boy comes across them, they create a friendship, and boy tries to help alien go back home with assistance from his siblings.
Everybody got that? Good!
A premise this basic and simple should not feel this complex or operatic by any means. And yet, it somehow goes beyond that straightforward setup. E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial turns into more than just a family movie. It becomes a story fueled by emotion from beginning to end. It's so well known and recognized worldwide to the point, and to refrain from my retrospective on Jurassic Park, that the will to cover this one just feels superfluous and unneeded. Since the movie's release in the summer of 1982, and hopefully as of this video, there has been only one E.T. Just one. Sure, there are clones, knockoffs, and of course some that have famously lampooned the formula. Need I say more? However, when you really do think about it, Spielberg went out of his way to never greatly franchise this one. I mean, compared to the likes of, say, Star Wars, Jaws, Jurassic Park, or Indiana Jones, there's been only one E.T. One. No sequel, no TV spin-offs, no remake, no legacy sequel, no reimagining. So it just begs one to wonder, did our little alien friends survive that big pitfall that a lot of franchises fall into, where it would become a pure corporate shill? Or at some given point, did E.T. actually sell out? I guess it's fair to start off by saying how much Steven Spielberg's movie means to me. The only memory I recall the most is being 5 years and being captured in the middle of my parents splitting up. Ironic, given our main character goes through the same ordeal, as Spielberg wanted to reflect a lot of his childhood in this movie. Naturally, I was one who visited the library and rented many movies, or episodes of Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater, but the three that stood out for my library checkouts in the past were The Adventures of Milo and Otis, The Neverending Story, and E.T. For the most part, this was arguably one I would turn to a lot, very much until The Dark Crystal came into my life, but we all know that story. Besides that, there was something so alluring and mysterious about E.T. that kept me coming back to it. Even as a kid, I was surprised to see just how it really took itself seriously without being too saccharine and syrupy, or too serious and bearing for that matter. It didn't take it for granted, nor did anything felt sugar-coated. If I had to find the right adjective of the mood and feeling, the whole experience of seeing this movie, not once but constantly, it's just that there's something about the whole experience that feels believable. The performances, the special effects, and the story. It's one of those rare cases where it just 100%, if not maybe 95% works at the time. The opening itself is a great attention grabber with these creatures kept in shadow. It tells the audience exactly what they're in for. In a strange way, it's kinda misleading by how it feels like a horror movie by never directly telling us if these beings are good or malevolent. Even the chase between the titular character and a bunch of government agents fuels our engagement more given we don't know who is good and who is bad, and the mysterious nature of both sides only fuel our curiosity. It's not until we get introduced to our main character Elliot, played by Henry Thomas, that everything clicks. A 10-year-old boy that is going through a lot of change with parental divorce and having a hard time coping with it. You get that from the start, like he doesn't want to feel left out of things like his brother's D&D campaigns or how the family has a hard time connecting. It's not too mopey to the point it's annoying, but overall, he's an average kid that's going through a lot. Even I can relate to this, given the challenges of getting old and understanding not everything will remain the same. And it can be hard to let go and move forward, which is a major theme of this movie.
Dad, sure. Remember when he used to take us out to the ball games and take us to the movies? We'd have popcorn fights.
So when the alien, later nicknamed E.T., comes into his life, everything comes together. Not only do we see this alien being is really compassionate, to which this movie's credit, E.T.'s reveal is still chilling and very sincere. But it gives something for Elliot to relate with. Both characters lost something major and they have to rely on themselves in various ways to help each other out. E.T. finding a way to get back home, and Elliot trying to fill in that empty void left behind. So when a way is found to communicate with E.T.'s folks, it gets harder knowing Elliot has to let his new friend go home, despite creating an important bond.
I could be happy here. I could take care of you. I wouldn't let anybody hurt you. We could grow up together, E.T.
You really do feel the mutual connection between these two, as Elliot risks so much to help his new friend and avoid getting captured by anyone older than him or his siblings. Speaking of which, let's get that major thing out of the way. E.T. itself. This is the literal beating heart of the movie that could either work or ruin it. And major credit too for creating an alien that looks very kind, sweet, and easily out of this world. It would have been so easy to make something cute like Gizmo from Gremlins, or a creature grotesque to the point it's hard to connect with. And it was a smart decision to give the facial features this grandmother-like quality that add to the kind-hearted appeal. And when it does explain a good bulk of E.T.'s abilities and rules of the alien, a lot of it is still kept a mystery. Sure, E.T. has telekinetic powers and can heal cuts, but nothing is deeply explained. It's all visually told, and we, the audience, are left to understand how E.T.'s powers work. Also, major credit to Pat Welsh for giving a voice that is raspy yet has some charm. Again, leading into the whole, what if you had a sweet grandmother that was an alien ordeal.
Good.
Even the side characters are reasonably believable and equally engaging. I like how Elliot's siblings, Gertie and Michael, played respectively by Drew Barrymore and Robin McNaughton, are at polar opposites of their family's dilemma. Michael tries to act more realistic, while Gertie is the cute one, but tries to have some heart and reasoning. It's this dynamic that makes the journey unique when they discover E.T. and play a major part in getting him home. And their reactions on how one would normally act in this situation by having a creature hidden within their rooms is realistic. Gertie just sees the alien as another friend, while Michael is cautious yet reasonable to an extent.
Maybe he's not that smart. Maybe he's like a worker bee who only knows how to push buttons or something.
Smart.
Okay, I just hope we don't wake up on Mars or something surrounded by millions of these little squashy guys.
But the biggest by far is the mother Mary, played by Dee Wallace. I should bring up how a lot of this movie is cleverly told from the child's perspective, even to the point we don't see the faces of many adult characters. The only exception is that of their mother, who is trying to do the best for her children, despite realizing how alone she feels in raising them without a father figure. It would have been so easy to make her the antagonist, or this wrongful person. But instead, she's just doing what she can for her 3 children. The one moment that always sticks out in my mind is when she finally learns of E.T.'s existence, and you can just see every reaction coming out of her. First surprise, then realization, fear, and finally, defense. It just feels so genuine, and I like how you see the wheels in her head turn more the sooner it sinks in that this is a foreign creature in her home and has no idea what to make of it. I even like how one of the government agents, played by Peter Coyote, turns out to be a real caring person. For a good bulk of the movie, we are left in mystery as to what intent he carries, but it's not until he talks with Elliot we just see he's a normal guy that shares a similar dream.
Elliot, I don't think that he was left here intentionally. and you did the best that anybody could do. I'm glad he met you first.
It's a good reveal that helps us know there is no good or evil here. Everyone is just human. And I so wish today's movies did more stuff like this. The performances from everyone, including the child acting, is top notch. Director Steven Spielberg made the wise decision to film this movie in chronological order so the emotional journey feels more believable. They really sell this alien creature is alive and real. Nothing feels phoned in, and you feel every mode of joy and sadness along the way.
So I guess it's fair to say that I love this movie. I honest to God do. The characters, the performances, the special effects, the story. It's just one of those films where everything is just 100% perfect. Just, everything. Though, if I did have to make one tiny nitpick, just one minuscule tiny nitpick, just to add one little itsy bitsy critique, I think the second half gets a little too intense. No, not a whole lot, don't get me wrong, just a tad little too intense in spots.
As much as I love this movie, it goes a touch too far when the government agents find out about E.T.'s whereabouts, literally place the house under a bubble, and all the while E.T. literally and physically becomes homesick. It's a lot to take in considering you have scientists going to the pure extreme while this extraterrestrial you've grown attached to dies in front of your eyes. It takes so many risks, and you feel your heart literally yanked out of your chest and chucked at the wall. The one moment that sticks out the most is when we believe E.T. is gone, and Elliot talks to his deceased friend like it's an open wake. I can't tell you the many times this moment stood out to me. It's an emotional beat that is handled very well and communicates the feeling of heartbreak, grief, and loss all in one go. It's no wonder Henry Thomas delivers such a great performance given how so underrated I feel his talents are.
You must be dead. Because I don't know how to feel. I believe in you all my life. Every day.
Now, of course, there is a happy ending. Don't get me wrong, but it would be wrong of me to spoil it for newcomers. Well, then again, for those who know how it ends, you do know how it ends. It is another solid, good, well-done conclusion. That is a pure thrill ride that's full of joy, sadness, and plenty of heartwarming moments that just feel perfectly earned. Especially when we consider the amount of quiet moments and pieces of subtlety that when it gets that last final 10 or 15, it just sings beautifully. It's such a hard movie to critique too, that it's just so well done from beginning to end for what it is.
It's interesting to note that E.T. didn't exactly start out this way. During production on Raiders of the Lost Ark, Steven Spielberg intended it to be a sci-fi horror called Night Skies. The plot involved a group of aliens that terrorized a family, while one of the creatures turns out to be benevolent and befriends one of the kids. It was meant to be a follow-up to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and had pure investment from Columbia Pictures. Special effects designer Rick Baker was hired to design the alien creatures, but Spielberg had a change of mind while working on Raiders, given he was feeling homesick, given a lot of the movie was in production in Tunisia. When Spielberg was talking about the Night Skies project to writer Melissa Matheson, they were more interested in the subplot with the good alien, and felt that was the better direction.
Columbia Pictures and Rick Baker were so upset to see a lot of pre-production work go to waste that they didn't want to jump on the bandwagon and craft what they thought was going to be a wimpy Disney movie. So, Columbia sold the E.T. idea to Universal, and to compensate, Spielberg decided to make a new cut of Close Encounters instead.
Needless to say, some form of Night Skies does exist in another Spielberg production that came out the same summer as E.T. At least 1 week before the Little Aliens' debut, audiences got treated to Poltergeist. Supposedly, director Tobe Hooper was asked to direct Night Skies, but offered the idea of making it be a ghost story instead. A family goes to great lengths in dealing with the supernatural in order to get their daughter back from a realm even beyond their own comprehension. Even if Tobe Hooper directed it, there are some Spielbergian elements within, even right down to the production design and look. It's funny how these two movies complement Spielberg's childhood. You have one that reflects his sentimental side, but 1 week prior, audiences were treated to one hell of a nightmare.
Now, both movies are great on their own terms, but E.T. was easily the true winner here. Not just for the summer of 1982, but the year as a whole. When it came out, it was a big deal. Critics loved it, audiences loved it, the whole freaking world went nuts over it. And why not? It's a movie that solely rides on emotion.
For a simple tale, you really understand the character's dilemma and wonder how things will end. There's nothing complex, nothing feels convoluted, and the smartest thing of all? No sequel! Sure, we have E.T. the Adventure Ride and a spin-off sequel book, but we're good with that. This movie is fine on its own without any follow-up or even a franchise for that matter. It is 100% near perfect on its own 2 feet.
To make a sequel would really rob the original of its charm, not to mention it'd be rather hard to top how it ended. It's that powerful. All in all, it's just a well-made movie with little to few flaws that just stands on its own perfectly as it should. But then came its 1991 network broadcast TV premiere.
Oh, don't act like you don't know. Anyone who grew up in the 1990s remembers the first telecast that came with a cost. I know I talked about this before, but screw it. Retail store Sears was not doing so well in sales and wanted to find a gimmick to advertise and boost its Black Friday deals of that year. The idea was simple. Sponsor a TV airing of a popular movie and load it with corporate plugs so you wouldn't forget who helped get this movie to air.
Ever wonder what Santa would do without his elves? The Sears Wish Book.
Kidvantage. Another reason why we say you can count on me.
You can count on Sears for great Christmas values, for just the right fashion looks at just the right prices.
At all. 1,600 Craftsman hand tools. Made in America. Guaranteed forever.
Hey, Jimmy, it's time to teach you something about tools.
There's a reason more people go to Sears for a new battery.
I can't believe I left my life.
Only Sears has the Die Hard.
And now Sears has the Sega Genesis 16-bit video game. Games that look, play, and sound just like the ones in the arcade.
For the game Nintendo, you can count on Sears. Hurry!
Sears early opening sale. Tomorrow only.
Commercials. Hate them.
Truth be told, and I'm not making this up, Spielberg was hesitant at first when he was asked permission to use his movie, given how personal E.T. was to him. Heck, when the movie was released to VHS for the first time, Spielberg persuaded Pepsi not to place a commercial on the videotape, but rather advertise the home video release and a rebate tie-in. And during a time when corporate companies were placing commercials on home video releases for movies like Top Gun, Casper, and All Dogs Go to Heaven, it was a pretty gutsy request. Eventually, Spielberg felt the idea of his movie airing during Thanksgiving Day, a holiday where families get together, was ideal enough to let Sears have their way, with 2 major stipulations. One was to have a cross-promotion supplement with American Tail 5 Goes West, which resulted in a rather cringy, awkward, concluding piece where it's just 10 minutes of Fievel promoting the value of reading. The second was to have E.T. air uncut and unedited, which was another risky move, given features like Raiders of the Lost Ark or Jaws would find itself airing under network censorship. But for once, families across America would get to see their favorite family film go unbleeped.
It was nothing like that, penis breath!
Elliot! What's all this shit?
And it resulted in some major angry phone calls and an FCC fine. Albeit minor angry phone calls. The one thing that still tickles my fancy is how the crew behind Mystery Science Theater 3000 got in on the game by airing their riff of Pod People simultaneously during E.T.'s network debut. It was part of their first Thanksgiving Turkey Day marathon, and I applaud about how unapologetic they were about it.
Well, at least you and I can watch this together. If you're wondering in your family whether to watch my show, Mystery Science Theater 3000, or E.T., the Extra-Terrestrial, make things go your way. And spoil things for your friends and family by telling them at the end of the movie, E.T. goes home. Ball's in your court, Spielberg. Oh, and by the way, I'm dating Amy Irving, and she's hot.
E.T. wants lap dance.
Still, the gimmick worked, especially when you consider Sears went as far to make that lovable alien be a major part of the store by making itself the only retail to carry VHS copies of the movie, cool merch, and even do photo ops, which was something Sears was known for.
Though, looking back on it, the whole thing was just a minor corporate shill, not a major sellout. It was just a one-and-done promo for a retail company, and that was it. The movie went on its merry way, its legacy carried further into the millennium and other generations, and nothing came across to foul its...
with enhanced visual effects. Never before seen footage.
20th anniversary.
Oh, did you really think I wouldn't bring this up? Oh yeah, as much of a sacred cow this movie is, everybody knows how bonkers of an idea this was. The concept of reissuing a classic to theaters is not a bad one, but this was a different case. In addition, Spielberg went back and made particular changes to the movie, citing key elements bothered him like the special effects and certain dated elements. Yeah, insert your own Lucas did it first comment here, and yet this wasn't the first time Spielberg did something like this. Back in 1980, he reissued Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but this version was more fine-tuned. There was additional footage, a small handful of new special effects, and a couple of minor tweaks. While it did carry the infamous inside the mothership ending that was only used for a means of a marketing gimmick, this edit kind of felt necessary. It didn't step on the toes of the original, but felt improved, given the amount of new character development and quickened pace. In retrospect, Close Encounters probably didn't need to be fixed, but this was an exception where the added material did flesh some stuff out, like Roy's broken lifestyle. E.T., on the other hand, was arguably perfect to begin with. So what needed to be fixed?
I do have the will to say I did see this version back in 2002. It was at my local drive-in, it was a double bill with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and for the most part it was a neat little treat to see E.T. outside, under the stars, in the comfort of your own vehicle being projected onto a giant screen. So at least, there was some enjoyment factor to it. But even I gotta admit, as a preteen, seeing all the alterations that were made to this particular edition felt unnecessary. Though not as drastically bad as Star Wars, it still felt really unnecessary.
I grew up watching how well performed the Carlo Rambaldi puppets were and still feel impressed by their articulation. And later knowing that some of the body doubles were performed with an amputee in a suit still fascinated me. Thankfully, not all of the puppet was digitally replaced, and most of the shots were just in there for the sake of having him speak more or scream. But to see some of the facial expressions replaced with a more cartoony and overexpressive look felt jarring. I still laugh at that one shot where they alter E.T. drinking a can of beer, and you can clearly see the liquid being poured behind the puppet, compared to the original shot where the puppet had actually blocked that. For a simple shot they altered to be more expressive, how can you be that lazy and not notice to digitally erase a technical flub like that? There are, of course, the more infamous alterations like E.T. hopping around like a kangaroo by using his arms, and guns being replaced by walkie-talkies. Spielberg's reasoning was due to E.T. having short feet, he felt it would be unrealistic for him to walk fast. And while some have speculated that E.T. would just telekinetically float across the grass, that sounds less goofy compared to running on two arms. The guns being replaced with something Spielberg wanted to do for a long time, as an interview for the 1997 Laserdisc release hinted this element always bugged him.
But I really regret two things in the movie. I regret that a gun was used as a threat to stop children on bicycles. And that last cut, before E.T. opens his eyes and the bikes take off, with the gun coming up, not pointing at the kids, but just coming up in a brandishing, kind of at ready position. I regret that cut, and I regret the cut of the cops with guns in their hand, running out to the abandoned, Econoline van with the dry ice pouring out of the back, and E.T. is gone and he's not in there. I really regret having any guns in the movie. And if I ever reissue the picture, I'll use the digital miracle of, CGI to take the guns out of the cop's hands, and I'll just simply delete the shot of the cop holding the gun up, which in the current film causes E.T. to fly. I think those were two, distasteful moments for me.
I'll be honest and admit, I was never bothered by the guns, but understand these agents have no idea if E.T. is good or bad. But as someone who has seen this movie countless times, it feels awkward when you notice such a change no matter how big or small it is. And granted, it doesn't affect the overall story. It does look ridiculous seeing two FBI agents waving down a bunch of flying kids while holding a set of walkie-talkies like shotguns. The only positive this edition did give us was the inclusion of additional footage. I was curious to see if these newly restored scenes would add anything. All it boiled down to was two scenes you could have easily cut and the movie would just run the same. The first one is not bad, as Elliot spends more time with E.T. in the bathroom and almost gets intercepted by a phone call by his mother. There is a cute gag where he pretends to vomit on the receiver by pouring soda on it, but the additional effects ruin the charm. It stands out from the rest of the scene and just feels distracting. It would have been so nice to see what the original practical work could have been, but with all this CGI material, it just comes out as distracting and kind of ruins the scene for me. The other involves Gertie and Michael getting discovered by their mother while a bunch of Halloween pranks are going on. It's a nice small comedic beat, but again, it doesn't feel needed. And when you find out the bulk of material that got removed, it's a wonder Spielberg had great restraint from restoring that all back in. The most infamous deletion is the scene where Elliot is being questioned by the principal after an incident in the school involving frogs. Long story, don't ask. While the principal is talking to Elliot, the chair the kid's sitting in rises above the ground while E.T. is telekinetically moving stuff up the stairs. The reason for its removal was Spielberg felt there was too much focus on the principal character, played interestingly enough by Harrison Ford, despite not showing his face throughout the scene.
I think the best thing to do is to go home for the rest of the day and think about what's happened here today and tomorrow. Well, tomorrow, like they say, tomorrow's the first day of the rest of your life.
There was also an interesting lead-in where Elliot is pulled out of the nurse's office and we see some schematics drawn along the walls. Now, I actually wouldn't mind seeing this added back in. It adds a lot more mystery to the E.T. creature, given how he's so mentally connected to Elliot. The most curious deletion is an epilogue where Elliot is leading a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, and we pan up to the roof to see the same communication device E.T. used to contact his people. This would have hinted Elliot is trying to keep in close contact, but cutting it was probably for the best, knowing how it would have been hard to top such an emotional goodbye.
Though looking past all that, it's fair to say that the 2002 special edition was minor compared to something drastic like Coppola's Apocalypse Now or George Lucas's Star Wars. And give Spielberg some credit. He actually had both versions on DVD when it was released. For a limited time only. And then for a while, we were stuck with a new version afterwards. Yeah, not everyone was on board with this one, and even South Park famously lambasted this with their Free Hat episode.
And the word terrorist has been changed to hippie.
Aw, dude, why would they do that? Yeah, hippies and terrorists are the same thing. No, dude, Spielberg changed terrorist to hippie to make E.T. more PC.
Tempted as I am to say how on point this was with the overall feeling of the new edition, this just feels rather outdated by today.
Changing E.T. was the best thing I ever did.
Dude, don't you see that it's not? It'd be like changing Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Son, we are simply passing through history. This is improved history.
You see, over time, Spielberg had second thoughts and felt the special edition robbed the feelings of newcomers seeing E.T. It resulted in the first Blu-ray edition carrying the 1982 theatrical cut only, and limiting the 2002 version as a supplementary version. By just showcasing the deleted scenes that were added back in and Nothing else. But hey, we got the original cut on Blu-ray. No 2002 special edition. So it's fair to say that some lessons were learned. It's not like they sold the thing out earlier when the movie came out with a poorly done video game for Atari.
Only from Atari. Made especially for systems from Atari.
Boy, am I glad I don't own an Atari to experience the pain of that one.
Here, the E.T. board game. Now you can pretend to help E.T. go home.
Danger!
Sometimes you can hide,
You're safe, E.T.
and sometimes you can fly.
Okay. Now you're really yanking my big toe here. Is there anything else you'd love to throw at me?
E.T. shoes from Buster Brown. E.T. shoes from Buster Brown.
Now there's a whole collection of E.T. toys. Aren't these little E.T.s cute? Wind this guy up, he walks. Almost like the real E.T. My kids really love their E.T. toys.
E.T. Children's chewable vitamins with 1/3 more of 8 essential vitamins and 30% less sugar than the leading children's vitamin.
BT has ET, the extra technology you need to stay in touch, like email and high-speed internet access.
Now, E.T. brings his own favorite cereal to you. New E.T. cereal, made with E.T.'s favorite flavors, chocolate and real peanut butter, shaped like E's and T's.
Merchandising. Merchandising? What's that?
We put the picture's name on everything. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made.
And yet, I feel like the magic on this one is lost. In some way. Franchise or not, maybe it did sell out in some way. Look at what they did to you. I guess I know what it feels like to have your childhood be dead, because I don't know what to feel right now. I can't even feel anything. Every day in my moment ever things went sour or bad, I always looked for something to believe in. You weren't just my second favorite movie of all time. You were a great part of my childhood. You meant so much to me. But I guess not everything can be squeaky clean. Video games, retail deals, recuts. Somewhat ruined the original spirit of what made you so great. I guess those things are inescapable. If only there was some pure piece of proof that led me to believe that you weren't a sellout. That perhaps there is some magic left in you. I haven't seen you in months. What's this?
This is the kind of movie that makes movie critics talk the way you were just talking. I talk the same way. It makes your heart beat a little faster. It brings a tear to your eye. When I saw this movie, I felt the way that I'm sure people felt when they saw Wizard of Oz for the first time. I felt as if I had been introduced to a magical movie, a movie that's going to last for years and years and years and be treasured by one generation after the next. Because in this film, what you have is a relationship between a person and special effects. It's magical. And you know, in the last 3 or 4 years, one thing that's been missing in movies is love relationships. Okay. And here we have this creature that comes right out of a special effects workshop. It's human, in a sense. It's certainly sentient. We like it. We love it. The kid likes it. There's a relationship. Yeah. It's very moving. So if I'm intimidated by these special effects, I plead guilty.
No, no. What you are entranced with is the same thing I am, which is love. And the special effects, so what? It's love there.
Okay, I'll say it. You're right. It's love.
Maybe E.T. didn't sell out after all. Maybe it's just some kind of a phase these things go through. As long as the original is there on the shelf for us to rediscover, rewatch, and pass down to a new generation, that's what truly matters.
Most of the things that came out afterwards just feel minor compared to what happened to other big studio movies that got milked to the bone. Even looking at it all, E.T. still remains one of those cinematic sacred cows that still survives no matter what happened after all these years. The movie is still perfect as it is. There's no follow-up or remake that tarnishes its lasting impact, and it still carries the same charm and love that it did on release. And yeah, the closest thing we ever got to a true sequel was that 2019 Christmas commercial from Xfinity. Looking aside from the fact that it's a commercial for a telecommunications corporation company, it was well done. It was nice to see Henry Thomas be paired up with an animatronic E.T. with some digital enhancements here and there, and for the most part, it really felt like a true follow-up that didn't outstay its welcome. For a commercial, it was entertaining enough and did the job just fine. At least, way better than what they did at Jurassic Park for Super Bowl 60, but let's stick with E.T. and let that be as it is. In a nutshell, it's irreplaceable. Even much like the John Williams score too, which arguably I think is one of my favorites of his. It just complements the idea of childhood in a nutshell. The joys, the fears, the sorrows, just every single moment, movement, and orchestration is just so well that it complements the movie too. It's actually one where I find myself listening to the theme a little more often. It's arguably as good as Alan Silvestri's work on Back to the Future. It's just all around beautiful. There's just nothing else I can say, no adjectives, no other words. Like I said, it's a near perfect movie. That's just absolutely unforgettable and irreplaceable.
Maybe instead of trying to make another E.T., studios and filmmakers could consider to make a movie in a similar vein of E.T. I mean, not beat for beat, plot for plot, but just something of similar value. It'd be risky in today's world, especially given how things are driven by familiar IP, sequels, remakes, reboots, and what have you. But when you really do think about it, there is one thing this film carries that stands the test of time that no other film I've seen today has. Heart. Because if I can be honest, we need it right now more than ever.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but everyone. Just for some, oh, but just